Hey guys, welcome back to Haunted Holidays. I'm Nick Noir. I promised last week that I would paint another Scary Stories illustration that I hadn't done before. But then at the last minute, I changed my mind. Before I did this series, Haunted Holidays, I pulled out 5 illustrations that I wanted to do. Most of them I haven't done before. But there was Skull Pipe, which I did last week. And this one, Harold. So, and this is another one that sells whenever I make it and sell it at conventions and whatnot. But I'm not going to have as long an intro today. The only reason I had a long intro last episode was because my camera decided to be stupid and I had to catch you up, tell you what I was using, etc., etc. Let's get to it. So, again, 16 by 20 with a liquid white base all over it. You can choose to do liquid clear or no base at all. Since you're using paint on liquid clear. Since you're using paint and paint thinner, you may be able to wiggle around, but it's just easier for me to do what I do when it's just really wet on the canvas. When it's dry, you're scrubbing it in, and it's not fun. And also last time, I think I mentioned just 2 colors that you would need, and it didn't even dawn on me because the red and the blue and the skull that you would need 4 colors. So I lied. But this one is just midnight black and titanium white. There aren't any other colors. It's just a scarecrow dude hanging from a tether pole looking thing. The illustration, if you can see here, I don't know if it's cut off or not, but there's a bunch of like cemetery stuff next to him. When I first painted this, I just painted Harold. I was trying to do the rest of it, but when I just painted him and he fit the whole canvas, I was just like, that's perfect. So I'm going to try and do the same thing this time because the whole cemetery thing on the side is just not relevant. And again, the whole thing is going to be painted with the script-lander brush. I'm even going to paint the pole because the pole's crookedy. It doesn't need a straight line, and besides, it's like 20% of the painting, so you don't need anything to hammer out a straight line with it. And without further ado, let's get started. If you wonder why my feet make such weird noises, you probably don't, but when I edit these things, it drives me nuts to hear it. It's basically a tarp, so I don't screw up my carpet, but once you're standing on it for a hot minute, your feet, suck to it, so when you move, it just sounds funky. And one of the things I do that Bob Ross doesn't is I use a splash guard. You probably can't even see it. Maybe you can. Yeah, you can. These little cardboard pieces. When he shot The Joy of Painting, he just had an open room and he just he let paint go everywhere. I wish I had that luxury, but I do not. So I use what I call my splash guards because I am a very messy painter. And it's funny because whenever Bob Ross would say, oh yeah, smash into the painting, yeah, his easel wouldn't even move. But whenever I do that stuff like that to the clouds or mountains or whatever I'm doing, my whole easel is like ready to tip over. So I don't know what I do differently. Maybe I'm just an aggressive painter. I'll shut up now. Alright, let's see here. What should we go with first? Make sure last time it was out of focus. Focus on the canvas, not me. There you go. Okie dokie. Let's go with the shoulder. Again, one of the awesome things about Scary Stories illustrations is that they don't have to be perfect. They're so abstract that even if you get close enough to the illustration, it'll look damn near identical. Making sure this is the battery I just put in there is about to die. Alright, Murphy's Law, folks. The battery that I used on the last episode and charged up afterward was completely dead, and it almost died. So that's charging, and another battery's in use. So, let's continue. Let's get some more paint thinner in this black here so it's not so... I don't know. It just seems like it's just sticking to my brush. There we go. Alright. Also, I thought I'd mention that I am open for commission requests for the holidays, but the cutoff is November, end of November, technically the beginning of December, but just because mail at that point gets crazy stupid. So I may cut it off before, but right now, if you want a scary stories illustration, that's hard to say, or you want a Bob Ross Naturescape, hit me up at nicknoir.com or contact me at nick@nicknoir.com, and we'll talk details. This is where it gets funky because there's just so much going on in the neck area with this dudeski. It's very easy to get a little too abstract and his head just looks like a damn slinky. So let me try and put something together here so it looks like he's at least got a neck, even though he really doesn't. The first one I made was almost spot on. I don't know, like the first time I did all of these, I don't even know how long it took me, but I think last time was different too, because normally I'm looking back at my computer to see what I'm doing with the Bob Ross thing, or for these, I think they were taped to the wall, so I kept having to look away and adjust what I was doing, so I don't think I've ever had what I'm painting in front of me, so I can keep my focus. It's nice, I must say. It is very nice. Because having to turn back and forth, it's like, whiplash! Alright. Es whiplash es no muy bueno. Alright. Let's get some, whatever the hell the shirt's doing here. Bunch of wrinkles. Beer, pot belly, beer belly, who knows? Well, he's a scarecrow, so if he's drinking beer, that is some odd stuff. Again, I'm just doing an outline. I just kind of want to see. Normally, I don't draw a figure then fill it in, but I feel like I moved him a little too far to the right, which is okay because he's got like kind of a stumpy leg here, and then the rest of his leg carries out. So this might be a perfect, whatever the hell you call it. I'll try not to talk so much this time. I don't know why I was so chatty last time, but sometimes when an idea jumps in my head, I's going to share it. I don't think I painted that last time. What is it, like a autopsy incision? What the hell's wrong? Oh, he's the scarecrow. Guess it goes without saying. That's one odd belly, dude. Alright. Let me paint his pantalones. I don't know what all this mess is, but let's do that for now. And then let's bring his cuff down a little bit more so we can get the pants more defined. I don't even think he has a cuff, it just kind of ends. But we're going to bring it up and make it all messy. Because he's a scarecrow. He don't give a damn. Alright. And we're just going to make this messy too because it just has a whole bunch of loose thread looking things hanging off. So it don't make no difference. Alright, so that stays like that. Yeah, see, stumpy leg, long leg. He's pretty much in the center of the painting even though he's kind of not. Alright, so let's paint this crookedy. Make sure this is focused on the canvas and not me. Okay, perfect. Okay, so you know what? Let me just do this. Well, let me clear up this real quick because this looks a little too messy for my liking. Make this part a little bit thicker up here. Make it look like a pole, somewhat of a pole. And wow. Let's give him some funky looking grass. Aww. This is why this brush is so just pitiful looking. Imagine doing this almost 100 times. I mean, I have other brushes. I have more script liner brushes just in case, but this one has done me good. But it is looking poorly. Alright. Now, I might get I'm gonna get the fan brush. You don't really need it. I want to be lazy. I'm using the big fan brush. And almost like you put snow on a mountain, or hell, even grass on a mountain. Just, I mean, 2 airs and some air. Just, you don't want to take it and smear it, because you're not gonna like life. It's not gonna just go your way at all. I mean, you're just barely tapping it. Alright. Okay. Now, we're going to do some, whatever the heck you want to call this stuff, some dribblies. Let's get some more paint thinner, make sure that it flows like water. Darken some areas real quick. Let's throw some grass in there. Come on now. There we go. All right. And that's that. I had more, but that's good enough. In fact, let's make this easier too. There's water in my brush. I have no idea how you get water in a brush, but there's water in my brush. That's one of the oddest things I've ever seen. I mean, you can't see it, but you can definitely hear it. Weird. You hear it? Oh, now it's dripping. That is so weird. There's freaking water in my brush. If you ever get, because I always do. But if you ever get stupid little, that's why I always pick at the brush before I paint them, so I don't get stupid little stragglers, little hairs from the brush to just hang around on my painting. If you ever do manage to have that happen to you, like I always do, just get your knife and just scrape it off. Ta-da! And yes, when you do hair, at least when I do hair, there's no way making make sure this is focused on the canvas and not me. There's no way, at least in my experience, of doing a shortcut around hair. Because if you try and do it all in one brush stroke, it just looks like crap. So every time I do hair, even in my first Scary Stories painting, which I call Am I Pretty, every single strand of hair on her head and every single strand of hair on Harold's head in the first painting and in this one, I painted every strand. Because one, it looks more realistic. It looks like I actually did something other than took a bunch of because there's plenty of shortcuts to take when you paint. But sometimes adding a few more details really helps sell the painting. Because if you take too many shortcuts, it doesn't look like you put in any effort, and no one will pay very much attention to you. Because in this day and age with social media and the whole resurgence of Bob Ross popularity, everybody paints or tries to paint. And some people don't even paint with this stuff. They paint on a tablet. They use Photoshop or whatever. So the competition out there is pretty intense. I mean, if you don't stand out in some way or another, you won't stand out at all. And there's a lot of people who paint that are super talented people. And they don't even touch this stuff. They just do a whole bunch of other horror stuff. And a lot of them I've interviewed in my magazine, Goth Macabre. So, but some of them have been around forever, and some of them have just been painting in the last few years. Like myself, I've only been painting. Give me a second. I'm just gonna mix this. I've only been painting for maybe, instead of putting my brush into paint thinner and then mixing, I'm just gonna mix it with the paint, so I don't have to. There we go. That way it's already wet, slick, and ready to go. I've only been painting for maybe 3 years. And I hear all the time, man, I wish I could paint like you. And I'm just like, you can. Just do it. I mean, I learned watching Bob Ross, and that's it. He learned from, I think his name, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Bob Ross learned from Bob Alexander. And then he took his own technique from the wet on wet technique and created the Bob Ross technique. No different than anyone else. Once you learn how to do it your way, it's now your technique. It's your specific way of doing that technique. Bob Ross didn't invent the wet on wet, but he certainly popularized it. My mouth is dry. I can't talk right. And I'm not really looking to popularize anything. I'm just doing what I'm doing because I enjoy what I do. I've also done I've also done Goosebumps covers. I did maybe 3 or 4, and then I stopped because those take a freaking fortnight to do. There's so many different layers to those ones. It takes a month to do. I think a month to do every Goosebumps cover that I did. I think I did Welcome to Ghost Beach, Fever Creek, and a few others. They're fun. But naturescapes and scary stories, I'm gonna call them scary storyscapes. You know, scary storyscapes and Bob Ross stuff takes maybe an hour, and then you're done. I mean, when I started out, these things took a very long time to do. It took me over 2.5 hours to do a Bob Ross naturescape when I started painting. But you know what? I started out. I didn't know what I was doing. You learn and you go. You learn and you go. But, and I mean, all the supplies that I use are Bob Ross stuff. All of the supplies I use. But it took me quite a long time to acquire all the supplies that I needed because it gets a bit pricey. But everything I use, or everything I have, I use. It's nothing sitting on a shelf waiting for a rainy day. It doesn't got to be perfect, but I just want to at least give it. There you go. He's got a nice old head of hair. He's happy. I'm happy. You're happy. We're all happy. Alright. Here we go. This is where it gets a whole lot of bunches of fun. Look how crooked my brush. Well, maybe you can't see, but it's like, I don't even know, 90 degree, but it's like, so when I paint, I have to figure out which angle. This is where it gets really fun. Because when you see the first painting I did on this dudeski bro, I literally did this for the for his shirt. I mean, I just went bloop. Just like his hair. The details are real, bro. Chip. Excuse me. We're just going to paint the pants black and go over it with some white titanium. Some titanium white to put in those gray highlights instead of just squiggling the brush and trying to work ourselves to death. We're going to cheat. We just painted a shirt and basically teased an entire head of hair on a man's head, so we're gonna cheat. Anyone that doesn't like that can look away. Just look away. I mean, we're about done. Besides the rips in his pants and the signature, and maybe some more little squiggly greens down here. Well, they're not greens, are they? But some grass. Well, it's not really grass, is it? Whatever the hell you call these things. Grass from hell. I don't know. That's it. And we're just going to paint his hand by basically doing this. I mean, nothing fancy. We're not going to get too crazy with it. He he doesn't have a perfect hand by any means. It's kind of messy, weird, misshapen looking, so there. That's his hand. Ta-da! There we go. Okie dokie. We're just about done, folks. Now, I promised that this is where we would cheat. And don't worry. We're gonna speed up the process just a little bit. Okay. In fact, instead of doing it on the brush, we're gonna do it on the palette. Speed it up a little bit faster. Make some titanium white. We're actually gonna use the titanium white. Yay! Mix it just a little bit. You kind of want a grayish white stuff. And then we're just going to paint some creases in his jeans, whatever the hell these things are. I kind of colored outside of the pants, so I'm just going to make it look like a bunch of loose threads, nothing fancy. Like I said, if you mess up with these, it's very easy to just kind of play with it. And for the pant leg over here, I'm just gonna do that real quick. Darken this stuff a bit, add some shadows. Oh, yeah, he's missing a hand, isn't he? Not that big a deal. He's got some weird lobster claw looking hands anyway, so let's give him his lobster claws. Now that his pants are there, let's bring the grass up just a little bit. All right, I think this is just about ready for a signature. All right. I want to thank you guys for joining me or watching, whichever one you did. And stay tuned for next week. No idea what I'm going to paint, but it'll be Scary Stories. This will be available for purchase at nicknoir.com in the very near future, probably once this drops. And again, I'm also taking commission requests for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark illustrations and Bob Ross Naturescapes. So you can hit me up at nicknoir.com, or you can hit me up for custom paintings at nicknoir.com. Either way, all that information is on my website. And until next time, guys. All right. Thank you for watching. And blessed be.